What's this?
Do you need an excuse to rewatch Avatar: The Last Airbender? Well, today you're in luck. After years of studying bits of trivia, behind-the-scenes commentary, and rewatching the show over and over, I've collected all the random details you may have missed on the first dozen runs through the series. One of the first real tear-jerking moments in the series came when Aang returned home to the Air Temple to find it ransacked and his friend/father figure Monk Gyatso deceased. This is when the reality of Aang's century-long nap really landed on his shoulders.
Oh man.
Luckily, there was a little lemur named Momo who arrived to pick his spirits up. Well, what if I told you that wasn't luck at all? You see, according to the creators, Momo is the spirit of Monk Gyatso staying with Aang even after the end of his life. Feel free to cry now. Did you ever have any beliefs from when you were a kid that you didn't realize was kinda dumb until you were an adult? Well, for instance, I always thought that they groomed the sky bison to make it look like there were arrows on their heads to match the airbender tattoos. It wasn't until the series dropped on Netflix that I realized, no, it's the other way around.
Aww.
The reason the nomads have arrow tattoos is to honor the first masters of airbending. You know, we love to talk about the Cabbage Merchant, commonly known as the Cabbage Man.
Oh, my cabbages!
Well, that's because his cabbage cart getting destroyed is one of the silliest running jokes in the series. Now, while that's all good fun, for a show that's so much about good people getting good things and bad people getting what they deserve, it does seem a little mean-spirited to keep messing up the Cabbage Man's life.
Cabbages!
Well, that is, until you see Legend of Korra. You see, the legacy of the Cabbage Man is Cabbage Corps, a massively successful organization that makes automobiles. While he never got rich off of his titular cabbages, he did get rich off the toil that came from having to constantly remake his cart over and over again. Those struggles clearly led him to the success he deserved. Toph Beifong may very well be one of the best characters in the franchise.
What's your problem?
She's incredibly original, constantly entertaining, and brutally tough. The creators really went the extra mile when figuring out how exactly Toph's life as a blind earthbender would work.
Wait!
This is really clear in any scene where Toph is sleeping. She has to keep her feet off the ground to give herself some peace and quiet from all those vibrations her toes are sensitive to. At first glance, Azula seems like a brutal loner sociopath who cares for herself and nothing else. On second glance, though, Azula still seems like a brutal loner sociopath who cares for herself and nothing else. At your 50th or 60th glance, though, you notice a few cracks in her armor that she shows when no one's looking. In the beach scene, when Ty Lee is telling her story, you can see Azula's sympathy for her friend. But only for a second, because the second that Lee looks at her, Azula goes back to that sadistic Vulcan look she likes so much.
Here we go.
Iroh is obsessed with tea.
Jasmine, please.
Like seriously, compared to Iroh's passion for tea, his brother Ozai only kinda wants to conquer the Earth Kingdom. This isn't just a cool character detail though. It is the ultimate look at his firebending philosophy. He believes in learning from the other element forms, and there is no way better than to study heat's effect on water. He also believes in control, and that's clear from the many speeches he gives about how to properly heat tea leaves. The characters in Avatar seem perfect to me, but they all went through quite a few changes before the show premiered. Perhaps no character was changed as much as Toph. She was initially intended to be a silly jock guy who would be a foil to Sokka.
I sound like a guy.
Instead, they played with the idea of a blind girl, and it took off from there. If you want to know what Jock Toph was gonna be like, look no further than Bolin from Legend of Korra.
Wow!
He's more or less what the OG Toph concept was. Avatar takes a lot of wisdom from ancient cultures both in our world and their fictional one. That being said, the message of Avatar deviates hard from just one about respecting the past. Characters like Katara, Toph, Iroh, Sokka, and Zuko are all rewarded for going against old, outdated wisdom to forge a new path. Even Aang is advised to end Ozai by former avatars, and he flatly refuses, choosing to stay true to himself and his belief in the sanctity of life instead. You just know that Zuko's first act as Fire Lord was to get himself a royal therapist to untangle his horrible childhood. If it wasn't clear just how horrible Ozai was as a father, look no further than Zuko's scar. While you might think that the burn was a casual way for Ozai to scar and punish his son, it's actually even more sadistic. The center of his eye is burned more than the rest of his skin, indicating that his father was truly trying to blind his son, not just scar him. While Zuko seems like a pretty skilled firebender for most of the series, once we see Azula and Ozai, we realize that Zuko's not actually at the top of his class. Now, while he's not the greatest firebender in the series, in fact it was a hard skill for him to learn as a kid, his secondary skills are perhaps the most impressive in the series. He can hold his breath for above average amounts of time. He can hear incredibly delicate noises even while asleep, and he may be the world's greatest sword fighter as demonstrated by his skill as the Blue Spirit.
Now, show me what you've got.
Ty Lee joined the circus to find some originality among her 6 sisters who are all identical to her. It's funny then that she finds her place in the world as part of an organization of women who fight together in uniforms and makeup that make them all completely identical. Kind of ironic, right? Katara having a crush on Jet only for him to betray them was pretty bad.
You want to see it?
Yes, we want to see
But it wasn't bad enough to deserve the level of fury Katara has for him when they next meet. Well, it turns out that off-screen, the two shared something very personal. Jet was actually Katara's first smooch. A milestone that was followed by her first heartbreak like immediately after, so yeah, I get why she's so mad. Azula and Kyoshi might not seem like they have much in common, aside from ruthlessness that is, but Azula's greatest success in the series is directly related to Kyoshi. Azula is able to conquer Ba Sing Se by posing as a Kyoshi warrior and by taking over the Dai Li, 2 organizations founded by Kyoshi to protect the Earth Kingdom after she was gone. That didn't work out, did it? The scenes where Zuko visits Iroh in prison are some of the best in the series. Part of what makes it so heartbreaking is how the two of them are shown. While Iroh was technically the one behind bars, it's shot to look like Zuko is the one truly imprisoned by his own choices. Avatar isn't a show that I have a lot of complaints about. But there is one that fills me with rage every time I think about it. Brothers Ozai and Iroh never share a scene together. We have absolutely no idea what their relationship was like, their past as children, or what initially pushed them so far apart. There was an Iroh backstory episode in the works, but it never ended up happening. Why? That would have been so good! It's bad enough that they didn't show what happened to Zuko's mom until the comic book sequel, but we may never know the story of the 2 Fire Princes and where their rivalry began. With this much attention to detail, there's no pressure on the Netflix live-action series to get on this level. Clearly, I'm being sarcastic. There is the most pressure humanly possible. Get it right.